Hey guys, so I'm going to be answering one of my subscribers, and he essentially asked me this very particular question. This is Muhammad Yasin, I believe from Scotland, and he said, can you please share some of the secrets how to negotiate the price on buying a brand new ready to move in property if paying cash? Okay, check this out. Show real fast. Okay, welcome back. So, Mohammed, first of all, I apologize that this answer is coming to you late, but I hope your deal's not already done, and I hope that you will be able to use some of this information that I share with you. Try not to make this video too long, that you will be able to use this video to save some money for yourself, okay? Okay, let's begin. So, I'm going to talk about a specific rule that you should follow. Strategy, how to come about it, the negotiations, and the pillars that rest on that. So a rule, value, strategy, and the pillars of negotiation. Okay. Now, this is the number one rule, secret, tip that I share with all of my investors, and I've actually learned through many trials and error of my own investments, other investments, and helping several investors go through the Dubai market. Okay, so the number one rule before you actually purchasing the property, I know you asked me how can I negotiate to save money. I'll get to that, but even before you get there, there is some homework that you need to do before that, right? So the number one rule is not just in Dubai, in Mumbai, in Lahore, in Islamabad, in London, in Paris, in Toronto, in New York, is don't lose money on your property regardless of which way the market goes. So what do I mean by that? You should not lose value on your property regardless of which way the market goes, even if the market goes downwards, right? And you might ask me like, Fahd, what do you mean by this, right? The Dubai market had been going down since 2014, right? There are other times, because real estate is cyclical or cyclical. The prices go up, prices come down and bottom up, bottom down, and then go up and then go down. What do you mean never lose money even if the market goes down? Here is what I'm going to explain. Look, when you're purchasing a property, there's a lot of things that are not in your control. So the global economy is not in your control. The local economy is not in your control. The weird pandemic was not in your control. The quality, the development, the amenities, the infrastructure that's going to come over there, whether the metro station reaches that community or it doesn't, whether the retail outlets are going to be doing well and add value to the community, etc., etc., etc. All of this is essentially not in your control. There's one thing that is in your control superbly, and if you can focus on this one thing, you can control the deal when you're purchasing and when you're exiting, and that is price of that property. Okay, now you might say, hey, price is not in my control because the market decides the price. Yes, I know the market decides the price, but the one thing that you can control is to not purchase a property. Listen to this carefully. Not purchase the property if the price is not right. If the price is not right, you should be able to walk away. Now, if you can manage that, and then look at all the other elements such as quality of the building or the project, quality of the area, the infrastructure coming to the area, the global economy, the local economy, and all the other things that lead into the property, that's when you're going to be able to purchase value. And value never loses regardless of which way the market goes. So that's the fundamental one principle or secret or tip that I want to share with you. If you purchase value, you're not going to lose out regardless of which way the market goes. What do I mean by this? Look, if the townhouse was priced well and you did not overpay on that townhouse, then the other things that kick in, location, is it a back-to-back, the layout, so on and so on. When all of this kicks in, it helps you preserve your value. But if you have bought a great townhouse but overpaid on price, it's going to be difficult to retain value. Now, value is very specific to your situation. Look, for me, these 4 markers are value. Okay, now when I tell my team, please replace them and make them available so that all of them are working, because I want to give a colorful presentation, for them these markers are of no value, and they probably think, what the hell, can't he just work with one perhaps black and maybe have one extra blue? No, I want all 4. For me, they're valuable. So if I had to pay 100 dirhams, I don't know how much these cost right now, but if I had to pay 100 dirhams each time to replace them, I'd probably pay that because of the value that they bring to me. So in that same way, value is very specific to you, Mohammed. Now, I'm going to take an example. Let's say you're looking at a townhouse community which is a little bit further out from the current city of Dubai. Okay, now when I say current city of Dubai, it's very funny because it might be only about 40 minutes from Burj Khalifa downtown, and still it's considered a little bit far in Dubai's speak. But maybe in London or Paris or the US or Canada, it's not really considered that far. But let's say, as for argument's sake, you're looking at a community that is a little bit further out. Now, as I said, value needs to be defined for you. If you believe and you're willing to hold this townhouse for the next 5 to 10 year window, and because it's a little bit further out from the city, perhaps 20 minutes from any other townhouse community, you're willing to take 2% less in rent because you believe that today's price that you're going to get is going to be awesome, and the capital appreciation in 5 to 10 year window, even with lower rent today, is you're still okay with that, then guess what? This townhouse community for you is value. And if you believe that Dubai always builds the infrastructure, the roads, the hospital, the schools, everything at some stage is going to reach this place, even though it's a little bit isolated today, because you see Dubai for last 40 years has been growing, right? Like other global major international cities, then guess what? This is going to be value for you. But if you purchase this townhouse community in this townhouse just because you felt, oh my God, I have to buy here because this is what I can afford, and in 2 or 3 years, if the price doesn't go up or if the services don't start showing up, you're going to start panicking because your justification was not there to justify value for you. Now, how do you arrive at what is valuable in terms of for you? Because you have to know this. Real estate, when you step away from the numbers, is a subjective / objective game. It's like, you're going out there choosing somebody to get married to. There is no objectivity and there is no 100% right answer. You're only going to be able to make informed decisions. So how do you arrive at this value? You do something called a strategy session, okay? If you can do this strategy session and define your 5-point criteria, then guess what? Now you're set to go into that market in a stealth way to start negotiating. But if you do not define this first, guess what? You're going to be misfiring, because either you're going to try to get it too low because you've not defined what's value for you, you've not defined your criteria, or you might, if that's the only community you can afford and you've not defined this, you might overpay. So you might not be able to save this money. You will only be able to save this much, okay? Does that make sense? Now, after you've decided on this, then you go into the market to negotiate, and negotiation rests, in my opinion, I'm going to just break it down. There is a framework that I use, but just for brevity's sake, you know, so that we can keep this video short, it revolves around 3 pillars, okay? 3 pillars. The first pillar is knowledge. Maybe you can see this. Knowledge about the seller, okay? You need to have all information available to you about the seller. The more you have, the more it's going to help you, okay? The second thing is knowledge about the market, okay? And what do I mean by knowledge about the market? You have to have price data, okay? Pricing data is super important. And then the third thing I'm going to talk about is tools that you use, because you see, knowledge is power. So if you have this knowledge, information on the seller and information on the market to price the property properly, you are better off than the person who doesn't have accurate information on this. However, while they say knowledge is power, in my personal opinion, knowledge is truly powerful if you can leverage it, okay? I'm going to talk about some of the tools on how to leverage it, but let's talk about the seller and the market price first, okay? And how do you go into stealth mode, and how do you enter the market? Essentially speaking, if you've identified the community, because after the strategy, what you should be doing is you should be evaluating and eliminating communities of townhouses and, you know, properties. And once you've done that and you've come down to maybe 1 community or 2 community or 3 townhouses, or, you know, in one particular area, and as you said, this is something that's just been handed over, essentially speaking, you gotta move in a way that's stealth, right? What do? You go and you approach, and you can use the local portals. You start speaking to agents in a very stealth fashion, okay? You gotta make them your friends, but when you're speaking to the agents, you need to interview them, okay? So let's say one of the agents has a listing, you call him, he's going to tell you, oh yeah, this is not a real listing, this is something that the developer was selling, it's no longer available. So you tell him, thank you very much. Do you know anybody else who might have a genuine townhouse, for instance, for sale in that community? That agent is going to become friends with you, hopefully, because you ask him nicely. He might put you onto his friend. If he says no, you say thank you very much, goodbye. You call the next agent, the third agent, the fourth agent. You keep calling, but you keep a track of who you're calling and for which townhouse, and for like, when you call the agent, there's a set of questions that I generally use to interview them, okay? You gotta ask them, how many properties are you advertising in that particular community? Some agents are going to be advertising 2, some 1 because they sold 1 property, some advertise 5 or 6. Word of caution, the agents who are advertising 5 or 6 properties sometimes are trying to corner the market. Okay, they're trying to corner the market, which means that they're trying to create higher prices. The reason they do this is, okay, I'm not going to use the board, I'll just talk to you about this. The reason they do this is because all these other agents who are competing with them in the same market and, you know, have good relationships with the sellers because these other agents sold these properties, these agents who have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 properties that they've advertised in the market, they try to corner the market to keep prices or push prices slightly higher. They don't have the ability to push the prices really higher because they're not buying themselves, they're not buyers, but they try to keep them artificially high. The reason, in my opinion, I could be wrong, the reason they do this is so that they can tell sellers that so-and-so agent who's your friend for the last 3 or 4 years, who's looking to sell your townhouse at this price, is really underselling, and I can sell it to you at this price, for this price. So that they would get the listing, and after a few months, they'll tell the same seller, oh yeah, we're not getting the price I promised. What can you do? That's the market. all right, let me just sell it to you. Let me sell it for you anyways. And by that time, the other agents have left that area. So if you approach a mega agent of the area, you gotta assess how truthful, competent, and honest he is. Sometimes you're better off with bargaining with that one agent who's got 2 townhouses in that community but has a great relationship with the seller. You need an agent who's honest and competent, not an agent who's trying to mislead you or the seller. Okay, so when you interview the agent, you're going to be able to ask them, oh, what did the townhouse sell for? What's the current market price? What's the difference on the different locations of the townhouses, so on and so forth. And what you're starting to get now is you're getting a good idea on market price. Driven Properties and Fan Properties have actual data on their website but it's sometimes very easy to decipher and follow, sometimes more difficult, but it's land department data. Okay, but you're trying to assess now market price from the agent's mouth, and that agent who's a great guy and becomes friends, guess what, your job is to ask him about the seller's situation, right? Maybe the seller has 10 houses or 100 properties in Dubai. He's not looking to give you a deal. Okay, maybe the seller is really nice, he's got 100 properties, but he's left it completely to the agent to get him the best price and kind of like sell the property. He doesn't care. Maybe the seller's in default with the developer. This knowledge you must gain, and after you've gained this knowledge, okay, that's when you use the tools to leverage. Okay, you leverage. You know that rule, right? You use this to leverage that lever. Okay, essentially speaking, at this stage we do something called, first of all, you should be cash ready. You should give a written offer with an actual check. Sometimes even carry the cash with you to convince the seller to reach your price. And you're gonna have to help and teach the agent to do this, okay? In the Dubai market, a lot of times offers are made verbally and they're just garbage, worth nothing, right? A seller that's being squeezed, the market's not being great for them, is already being bothered by tons of agents giving him low prices just so they can sell his property or bring him down. And a lot of these agents' verbal offers never materialize. So essentially speaking, the tools that you must use, and the ones that I use, are an offer to purchase template, which makes a binding offer to the seller and gives him a 24 to 48 hour time period, a window to respond. Obviously, if you're looking to pay $1 million dirhams for this townhouse, you start off with 900,000 or 850,000. Now, I'm not encouraging that a seller who's already losing a lot of money, that you try to kill them away and just try to make more money for yourself. I'm not encouraging that, but you just build in a margin for them to respond. But very critical, while you put this offer on the paper, is you must at the agent selection stage have become best friends with the agent, so that the agent can carry a real check in the name of the seller. Because what the thing is, and you might not understand this, you might not follow through on this. Many of my agents, even after training them about this, don't completely follow through, but I think they're starting to learn and recognize the power of reality or real money being shown to a seller, and the power that has to bringing the seller closer to your price. Okay, I often quote this, but one of my mentors, my managing director, one time he was negotiating, and the guy was after trying to get the price low for 2 or 3 hours, and in the end the guy just picked up a bag full of money. This is back in 2003 or 2004, put it on the table, and my mentor, so tired and looking at this cash, said, okay, you've got a deal, let's do it. This is what you've essentially got to do when you're negotiating with the seller. Now, here's the thing, you might not be able to trust the agent with your check. You can't trust the agent with actual cash, but let's say it's a $1 million dirham deal. There's no harm in carrying 100,000 dirham. Actually, don't carry 100,000 dirham cash, because the seller's going to get scared and might not know where your money is coming from. But carry a real check to the seller. Now, the agent's going to tell you, oh no, the seller doesn't want this offer, he's already rejected it, blah 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 blah. You're going to have to teach the agent at this stage on how it's done, and perhaps go with the agent, tell them just please be quiet. Ideally, you should have a competent agent who's going to lead this process for you, okay? There's other ways if the community is just getting handed over. Look, in some cases, some people might be in default with the developer. So you can always approach developer staff in a very nice, polite way and say, look, have you sold a townhouse or an apartment in this property to somebody who you sold it to and can't keep up with the payments and is really looking to exit? I can help you. Developers will have access to other agents as well. Developers agents will have access to other agents. These are secrets. You can always approach the owners association, but they're not really legally allowed to work with you. But you know, they might know people who are having trouble paying their service charges because they're just looking to sell the property, and they might be able to put you in touch together. Essentially speaking, number one secret is once you've got, look, always remember, don't overpay. Strategize to understand what's value for you. Once you've understood what's value for you, understand the negotiation pillars. Seller, market price. This knowledge you must get as much as possible. And then once you've got this, you use tools like offer to purchase templates, etc., to leverage. The people you use this to leverage with is you use cash and you use the agent's help. Ideally, you appoint somebody who's really good, honest, and competent. Hope this helps. Look, if it does, press the bell icon, subscribe button, spread the love around. I'm trying to give you value. You're going to be investing in Dubai real estate. My aim is to invest in your life and your future. Ciao for now. Okay guys, so thanks for watching. My name again is Fahd Dawood. I've been doing this for 14 plus years. I started in 2006 in Toronto, Canada, and since 2007 I've been doing this in Dubai. I generally talk about real estate, your life, my life, and our path to allowing financial bliss coming to us. If you want to work with me, such as buy a property in Dubai, or you need general advice, you can hit me up on in the contact form below. If you've liked this video, I'd appreciate if you subscribe, press the bell icon, and hit the like button and share it with other friends. Ciao for now.